we go. You can speak
Okay.
whenever you want to. I'm going to click start now.
Good morning, everyone. We're just going to wait a moment while a few more classes tune in. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Meet Your Future session. In these sessions, we hear from people who work in Greater Manchester, and you have the opportunity to ask them your questions about their journey and what they do in their job. My name is Laura, and I'm your host today. I work at the Greater Manchester Combined Authority, and it's my job to help young people find out more about the different jobs and pathways that are out there. One of the ways you can do that is on the GMAX website, which has a lot of information for our young people who live in Greater Manchester. Today, though, we are going to hear from Jessica, who is an apprentice from a company called Bruntwood. Jessica's talk is all about her place of work, how she got her apprenticeship, and what she does in this job. She is also going to give you all a go at completing one of her tasks. If you've got any questions, please can I ask your teachers to pop them in the chat box, and Jessica will have time to answer them at the end. We will be having a 5-minute comfort break about midway through the session, and just to remind you all that this session is being recorded today. I'm now delighted to hand you over to Jessica.
Morning everyone. So today I will be talking about apprenticeships at Bruntwood. And the next slide, please. So this will all be about my apprenticeship and my apprenticeship at Bruntwood. So Bruntwood is actually a property development company, and part of what we do is creating thriving cities. So we are based in Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, Birmingham and Cambridge. So we look for buildings and spaces with potential. So there that's just popped up is some office space, service space and lab space. So some of those are based in Manchester, like the big tall white building at the top, that's Piccadilly 111, which is in Manchester. And then just to the left side of that, that is a SciTech space down in Alderley Park in Cheshire. So that's when we get science companies who use it for lab space. It could be doing research on cancer treatment or vaccination research and things like that. And then the other thing that we do also offer is retail space. Some of the retail space which you may have heard of is Affleck's Palace, which is in Manchester. So that is just the second and the third picture there. So that's full of little store holders who offer jewellery, clothing, whether it be like makeup and things like that, or different things. And then we've got Hatch there at the top. So that is a food and drink place. And again, that is full of little food and drink stores where you can go for comedy nights or just for a bite to eat and things like that. And then also all of our spaces, so all of our buildings have a retail space underneath as well. So in my building that I work from, we have a cafe underneath, which is obviously perfect for workers because we can go down and we can then we can get our lunch, etc. and things like that. Here, let's go on to the next slide, please. And here is a short video about Bruntwood.
Bruntwood is a business led by one purpose: creating thriving cities. Our deep connection with the cities we work in sets us apart, and for more than 40 years, everything we have done and everything we have achieved has cemented that one purpose. Purpose ensures that every decision and investment we make benefits our customers, our communities, our colleagues, and our cities. Because when our cities thrive, so do we. It's that commitment that has helped us grow into a company with more than 100 landmark properties worth more than £1 billion. We also have a development pipeline of £1.4 billion and a team of more than 750 people working across our group. Through Bruntwood Works and Bruntwood SciTech, we own, let and manage outstanding buildings, workspace, innovation and science facilities. From one co-working desk to a corporate headquarters, Bruntwood Works creates inspiring physical and social spaces that help businesses thrive and grow in superb locations across major UK cities. Bruntwood SciTech manages the UK's leading network of thriving innovation districts that includes the prestigious Manchester Science Park, City Labs, Alderley Park and Innovation Birmingham. It's those spaces the relationships we build, and the communities that we create that have all helped our customers to thrive. We believe that responsible, brilliant business can be a force for good, not only by creating jobs and opportunities, but also with an unrelenting focus on how business is done. Together, they help us make the best impact we can, here in our communities and on the country as a whole. We foster vibrant cultures around us through our unrivaled arts and sponsorship programmes. We help shape the careers of not just our own colleagues, but we also help thousands of younger people achieve their full potential. And we especially champion and partner the communities we live and work in by helping shape better health, well-being, social and environmental initiatives. We're proud, not just of what we do, but of how we do it. We enable our customers, our communities and our colleagues to connect, to collaborate and to innovate, creating thriving cities.
So on this slide, I'm going to talk about how I found my apprenticeship and the process of getting the job and then becoming an employer of Bruntwood. So first off, I found my apprenticeship on GMAC's website. If in your own time or when this call has finished, if you'd like to go onto the GMAC's website and explore all the different apprenticeships on there, I think it'd be a great thing to do. If you go on there, I'll give a little brief description about what apprenticeship is and about the job. And the next part is reading the job description. This kind of gave me a little bit of an insight into what that role was that I wanted to sign up. And it gave a little brief description about my business admin apprenticeship, which would run alongside my job. And then the application process for me, rather than just handing in my CV, it was actually a case of answering some questions. So each question needed a little bit of detail. It was quite a lengthy answer, but it kind of was a different process to what you'd normally get as handing in a CV. And then after that, I then received a phone call maybe a few days later. The phone call was to say, we received your application, we've read through it, we think it's great. Are you able to come into an interview? So then I had about a week to prepare my interview. So during that, I would research Bruntwood just to get familiar with what Bruntwood does. Make sure I'm prepared for questions and things like that that typically are asked in interviews. And then after that, I had received the next phone call, which was about maybe 3 hours after my interview. And that was to say that I had got the job. And then after that, it was all about handing in my notice at my job, as I was a part-time employee at a bowling alley in the Trafford Centre. I'm not sure if maybe any of you have been there, but that's where I'd worked. So it's about handing in my notice to say, look, here's my 2 weeks notice. And then as soon as that 2 weeks was done, that was it. I was finished. And then it was all about starting at Bruntwood. And then the next slide, please. So my role at Bruntwood, part of the work that I do is focused on volunteering. This is a part of Bruntwood Cares, and volunteering is I'll get companies, organisations, charities to send me volunteering opportunities. So that could be conducting mock interviews in a school or planting a tree with City of Trees. And then I take that information and I will put that out on our intranet to get my colleagues to sign up. They have 24 hours allowance to volunteer, and how they use it is up to them. As long as I share them the opportunities, then they can sign up. The next part of my work is the work experience and workplace visits. So with this is planning and facilitating work experience and workplace visits. With our work experiences, we aim to reach out to children who maybe don't have the facilities to get opportunities like what we offer. A lot of it is kind of the people who you know. So if they don't really have anyone who is in this line of work or in a big industry, it may be difficult for them to access work experience around that. So it's our job to kind of put these opportunities, say we've got a work weeking experience, if you would like to sign up and then join in. So we just want to make sure that we are targeting everyone, so everyone gets the same opportunity and they can see what Bruntwood is about and all the different aspects of Bruntwood. And then the final part of my job is the fundraising and charitable activity. This again comes under Bruntwood Cares. This is about fundraising money for our charities that we support and our partnerships, and facilitating charitable events. So these could be a curry quiz, which we do every single year, which is where we have like a big massive quiz and we raise money through entries, through drinks, through the food, etc. And it's just about raising as much money as we can for our charity partners. And then the next slide, please. So now you've got a 5-minute break. If you'd like to come back at 10:20, that would be perfect. Thank you.
Just 1 minute left of the break now, and Jess will be back with us.
So welcome back, everyone. So if you just bear in mind what I said on the last slide about part of my role, which was the volunteering. So one of my tasks that I've actually got this week is facilitating some volunteering. So I'm hoping that you guys could maybe come up and help me with some great ideas on how I could get this opportunity out to my colleagues. So it will be based around City of Trees, and if I just read out the description of who City of Trees are. City of Trees is delivering a green recovery and tackling the climate emergency head-on through planting trees and restoring woodlands for the people and wildlife of Greater Manchester. So when I have volunteered for City of Trees before, I have taken part in activities of cutting back trees, getting rid of overgrown things, make sure that everything's kept back, and also planting wildlife flowers and planting trees. And now I want to make sure that everyone can take part in this and understand how fun this kind of activity is, as I had a really great day. So just underneath that, I've just included some information. So we've got the charity name, which is City of Trees, the date when this will take part, which is the 8th of March 2022, so that'll be next month, and the day will run from 10 AM till 3 PM. And the whole point of this day will be wildflower planting and general upkeep. So that again is similar to what I had taken part in during my day. So it's really important that we engage colleagues through the correct way. And some of the ideas that we've had are through an email. So we type up a little bit of information, but ensuring that we get all of that information there, the charity name, the date, the time, what it's going to be, all in an email for people to sign up to. Or would a poster in a communal area, so maybe in the kitchen area, if we have a poster which talks about City of Trees, has some great pictures on from volunteering days in the past, to signpost people up to and kind of make them as eye-catching as possible so that we can get people to sign up. Or a video of maybe someone from City of Trees talking about what they do, and then hopefully people will watch this back and sign up to that opportunity which I've given you there on the 8th of March. Or on our intranet, we often can do a write-up on the specific volunteering opportunity, to whether you write what the benefits are of volunteering, and then mentioning about, oh, here we go, we've got a perfect opportunity. The positives of this is you're outdoors, and so on, and really make this opportunity seem as fun, as engaging as possible, so that we can get as many colleagues as possible to come out and volunteer. Or a leaflet. These could be around the office space, or these could be given out to colleagues on the way in to work or on the way out to work. But we need to think of the best way that we can sign colleagues up to volunteer so that they use their 24 hours of allowance for volunteering. You're right on the next slide, please. So on this slide, I'll be talking about the apprenticeships that we offer at Bruntwood. So the apprenticeships that we offer at the minute are business administration apprenticeships, which is obviously the one that I'm doing. And we have finance apprenticeships, and at the same time that I joined, there was also 3 finance apprenticeships who joined as well. We have building surveying and quantity surveying apprenticeship roles, human resources roles and project management, all apprenticeship jobs. So the requirement for all of those apprenticeships are a level 4/C in English and maths. However, this has been noticed that this can be a bit of a downfall to signing people up to apprenticeships. So if you maybe don't have a level 4 or a C in either maths or English, alongside completing your job and your apprenticeship, you can actually do a functional skills course, and this will just be around maths and English, or if it was just maths, it'd be focused on that. And this is just to make sure that in actual fact that all people can access them, whether they do have the correct qualifications or not. It's allowing people to still be able to take part, but they will just have to do a course alongside of that, which is perfect for people who maybe struggled in school or who don't have the GCSEs. Knowledge is sometimes required in jobs as well, and some of the skills can be good communication, could be professionalism, punctuality, and just make sure that you're in work at time and things like that, and you're showing up day in, day out and things like that. And then sometimes some apprenticeships may ask for some experience in customer service. This again, all of those apart from the GCSE grades aren't always necessary. However, when I was looking at apprenticeships, some of them did ask for some skills or experience in customer service or kind of like specific knowledge. However, in my business administration course, it was kind of just the GCSE, and if you've got good customer service, it's a bonus. You're right to go on to the next slide, please. So on this slide, I'll be talking about my actual apprenticeship and my modules in my apprenticeship. So first off, we've got unit 1 and 2 and 3, and this is all about knowledge. So we've got learning more about Bruntwood and the business terms, fundamentals. This is kind of all things relating to running a business. This is a lot of knowledge-based learning, but it should never put you off, and it's actually a massive help in going into this world of work, is understanding just kind of how a business actually runs. As if you're not part of that, how will you know? And then the next unit, 4, 5 and 6, is all skills based. So we've got communication and interpersonal skills. This is kind of what we do on a day-to-day. We communicate with, like you guys, we communicate with teachers, or we communicate with just people around us, whether it be the public or whether it be if you go swimming, your swimming coach and things like that. So we're always communicating every single day. We're talking about how we communicate with stakeholders. So that is something that in my job I do. I'll communicate with stakeholders, whether they are internal, they have an internal interest, or whether they are external, so they're outside of the business, but they have an interest in Bruntwood. And again, it could be management skills and planning and organisation. And then the final unit is unit 7, and this is all about behaviours. So this is professionalism, your personal qualities, managing performance, adaptability and responsibility. So with this is kind of thinking about how you work. So where it says managing performance and personal qualities, this is thinking about yourself. So with your personal qualities, you need to think about what are you good at? Are you good at writing, or are you maybe good at creativity and creating something? And I think it's about kind of homing in on what you're good at. And then obviously you've got professionalism, which was mentioned before, making sure that when you're in meetings or just around the office space, that you are professional. This can be with the language that you use, how you communicate with people, and just kind of how you get about the office, for example. And then obviously adaptability and responsibility. This is quite a big part of a business. Adaptability is kind of just conforming to change, because obviously in businesses change is quite common. change is always happening, so being able to adapt to things like change, or adapting to going into a new role or a new way of learning. And then obviously responsibility, as when you do join a big company, you do have a set of responsibilities. So like, for example, relating that to me, volunteering, that's my responsibility now, and getting people to volunteer. And then the next slide, please. So this part here, this is actually what I do in my apprenticeship. So one of the main things that I do is workbooks. So each month I'll be set a workbook that may be around business fundamentals, communication, business structures, and I'll have to work through this workbook, and it will give me information, and then it might ask me questions about a theory, or it may go, think about your experiences and what was it like communicating with someone outside of the company. How did you do this? What went well? What went wrong? And it's kind of part of reflecting on what you've done in your job and things like that. And then the next one is mentoring. So I will meet with my one-to-one mentor every 6 weeks. This will be to go through my work, to see if I'm on track, just to make sure that everything's going right. If there's any problems, I can raise them then, or if I need help or anything like that. My mentor is always on hand. I can always email them and things like that. They are there to help you, and they are definitely a great help and support, as that is their job. They're there to help and support you through the apprenticeship. And then the next one is Zoom workshops. So every 2 weeks, I'll have a Zoom workshop, and similar to the workbooks, each workshop will be based on a specific thing. So my last workshop was around budgeting, and whilst that kind of doesn't have anything to do with a business administration apprenticeship, it is actually a key part to the working world. And I might not come across it now, but I may come across it later on in my career or what have you. So just having that knowledge on that is great. So this will be one person from the apprenticeship going through what budgeting is, or going through things about finance or stakeholders, and just really kind of providing you with information. And it's quite interactive. So we may go out into breakout rooms with the other students who, again, like me, completing a business administration apprenticeship, and we can discuss. So it's really interactive, and it's a good way to get to know people who are on your course, and actually having someone there who you can relate to, because I don't really have anyone around me who's doing a business administration course in my work. So it's nice to have those people there that I can rely on. And then obviously we take part in the Endpoint Assessment, which is what you do right at the end of the apprenticeship, and that will be, hopefully I will pass, and then hopefully I'll get a job at Bruntwood following on from that. So the Endpoint Assessment is kind of talking about, you'll have to host a PowerPoint, and this will be going through everything that I've learned over my 15-month apprenticeship, and I'll have to deliver this to someone outside of the company. So it is a little bit of pressure, but obviously my mentor will be there to help me finalize my PowerPoint. I will use my colleagues to help me with things. And there is also another part where it's answering questions. Again, this is all related to looking back over the year, and just all the knowledge that I've gained throughout my apprenticeship, and just kind of putting it all together. And that's kind of what it all comes down to, as well as all your workbooks, the work that you've completed, the notes that you've taken, and things like that. It all does pay off in the end. And the next slide, please. So thank you for listening. If there is any questions, please do tell your teachers or whoever's there with you, just to put them in the Q&A box, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Jessica. We have had a first question in already, and somebody has asked, what is the starting salary with an apprenticeship?
So with the starting salary, it does all depend on the apprenticeship. So some apprenticeships may be the minimum wage for an apprenticeship. and some may pay more generously. I know at Bruntwood, we are kind of on a scheme where it's the real living wage, and that's for all the employees at Bruntwood. However, I think if you'd like to go onto the GMAX website, on there it does have some numbers if you want to look at, and every single one is different, but I think it's definitely is worthwhile if you go onto the GMAX website just to kind of see the different salaries which you get, because they are all so different, each and every single one.
Thank you, Jess. So while we're waiting for more questions to come up in the chat box, I thought I'd ask you some myself, if you don't mind. So a big part of your job is organising volunteering for the colleagues. And I just think that's so special that Bruntwood allow their employees to take time out of their work to go and volunteer to support their local communities, doing things like City of Trees. Can you talk about some other volunteering opportunities that the colleagues have been doing recently, and how much time are they allowed to volunteer?
So Bruntwood support 24 hours, which every single member of staff at Bruntwood get, and however they use it is kind of however they want. So one of the organisations that we work quite closely with is Sulphur Foundation, and whilst Sulphur Foundation is an organisation, they will send me volunteering opportunities at different schools. So one of those could be mock interviews. So that's where we'd kind of like to specifically reach out to people in Bruntwood who kind of are in that process of conducting interviews, hiring people as they are best suited. So it could be things like giving them tips on what to do in an interview, actually having a mock interview with them and things like that, and just kind of giving as many tips and as much advice that they can, so these students and things like that at schools are able to be as ready for an interview as possible, as everyone surely will have one in their life at some point, whether it's for going to college or for getting an apprenticeship or getting a normal job.
Excellent. That's lovely to hear some of the Bruntwood colleagues volunteer in schools. We've had a couple more questions in the chat box. The first one is, what hours do you work, Jessica?
So the hours that I work, so I work Monday to Friday, and I will start work at 8:30 and I will finish at 5 o'clock. And so sometimes I will be in the office, which is based in Manchester, and sometimes I'll work from home. This is obviously only just in the past 2 years became a bigger thing due to COVID, etc. So if I was in the office, it is an early start, but it's worth it, and it's nice being able to kind of get out. But as I am working in Manchester, actually getting out at that time, and you see all the people, all the workers like me going to their jobs and things like that. It is great. It's an early start, but obviously I get the weekends off as well, which is kind of always a bonus.
Excellent, thanks Jess. The other question in the chat box, somebody has asked, what are the job prospects? So I think that might mean at the end of an apprenticeship. Okay,
so if I talk from kind of what I hope, so the big thing for me, and obviously I would have, by the time I finished my apprenticeship, I would have spent 15 months at Bruntwood. So I would like to think that I would get kept on, that Bruntwood would see me as kind of like a valuable staff member and they would keep me on. Obviously this may not work, but I think it's about kind of making sure that throughout those 15 months or 12 months, 13 months of being an apprenticeship, that you kind of make sure that you're trying your hardest and things like that, so you are kept on. And then obviously from that, especially in Bruntwood, there is room for moving up and moving into different areas. There's a lot of opportunity for that. So I think if I do get kept on, I think it would definitely be great. And obviously that kind of is, unless you've not enjoyed your apprenticeship at that specific place, however I have, I think that's kind of like the main goal. obviously people have different plans and things like that, but if that wasn't something that you wanted to do, you could then have in your CV, you'd then put in, I've completed this apprenticeship, I've got this qualification, and then I'm sure you'd be able to find other jobs and things like that. But the main goal for me is definitely to stay on.
Great, thank you, Jessica. Just while we wait for some more questions, can you tell us what the opportunities are at Bruntwood for young people with neurodiversity or special educational needs or difficulties?
So kind of relating back to one of the earlier slides where I was talking about my role is obviously facilitating work experience and workplace visits. And so the perfect example is at the minute we have got I think he's about 19 years old. He's on an internship and he's come into our role. We have contacted him. He's been contacted through Pure Innovations, and he actually is from one of the youth zones that we support. And he has got special educational needs, and it's kind of making sure that we welcome him in and we're giving him the opportunity that everyone should get. So he will be learning about different teams, different areas of the work, actually completing some work as well, kind of like helping out the staff and using his ideas that he may give as he's like a fresher pair of eyes into the business. But our main focus is obviously making sure that everybody, no matter where you're from, no matter your background, no matter what special educational needs you've got, that every single person gets the same opportunity and actually gets that opportunity to either come into the business for work experience or comes in for a workplace visit for the day or something, or like Joseph, who's just started, has an intern which can last 3 to 6 months and things like that. But it's so important that when we do get people in, whether it might be one of the things that kind of put people off coming is obviously the travel's quite expensive now, so it's making sure that we adapt things, whether it's for someone who we need to pay for their transport, or whether it's we need to adapt if there's a wheelchair user, if we need to adapt to the office space, get a higher table or something. But it's just making sure that we can offer the opportunities to everybody, no matter their needs or background or anything like that.
Wonderful, thanks Jess. The next question has come from Elms Bank, and they've asked, is it harder to work at home or at the office?
So that's quite a tricky one. I think again it depends what your day is like. If you've got a day full of back-to-back calls, kind of if you're in the office for that, you're not really in the office, you're either in and out of meeting rooms or you're constantly headphones in. So I feel like for those days it's kind of better at home. But obviously being in the office means that you can communicate with people if you need help for whatever reason. So I might need help on my apprenticeship and it may be something about the structure of Bruntwood. I will have all of my colleagues there who I could ask for help. So I definitely think I wouldn't say one is harder than the other. I think if you are in the office, you've just got more support and things like that. So, and again, I suppose it changes for every single person. I think some people will really like working from home, will be really productive, where some people may feel that they're actually not as productive as if they were in the office. But again, vice versa for both of those as well.
Excellent, thanks Jess. I'll just continue to ask you a couple more questions until we have any more questions in the chat box. Could you tell us, Jess, what is it that you enjoy about this job the most?
So I would say about my job is probably working with the charities. So every year now, I want to say for 3 years, they have done this thing called the Wishing Tree. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of this in 2021 December. So basically what we do, we work with our charities, and we, for example, the youth zones, we will hand out some Christmas tags to them, and the people who go to the youth zones will have the opportunity to write a gift that they would like, and then we put them on our trees in all of our offices, and we have colleagues and customers and suppliers all involved. So they will take a tag off of the tree and they will buy that gift, we'll send it back to the youth zone. And whilst it was quite stressful because it was kind of like quite a big part on it, and it was about 3 months into my apprenticeship, it was quite stressful, and obviously it was a whole new part of this line of work that I'd not done before. And then it was following on from Christmas when all the gifts had been there, and I was just in communication with the charities and seeing they sent through pictures of the children with the gifts and things like that, and seeing like how happy they were, and just hearing all the good comments, looking at all the pictures, the videos of the children with the gifts, smiles beaming on the face. So I think it definitely is my favourite part, and I think the part that you get most out of and such a good feeling from is definitely working with the charities and seeing the impact that you actually kind of leave on these charities, and how much like we can help them, and you actually get a lot back from it whilst you're supporting them and helping them. It's such a feel good, and I think it's no matter the stress, when you see those pictures like that, or when you see how something's worked for them so well, I think hearing that is just kind of like such a feel good, and it makes everything worth it.
Thanks, Jess. That's lovely. We've had another question from Elmsbank, and I think they'd like us to be a bit more specific. They're asking, what is an apprenticeship? How would you personally define it, Jessica?
Okay, so I would say an apprenticeship is about learning on the job. So you'll be conducting your own job. So for me, that's social impact. And then you will also be doing your apprenticeship work at the same time. But the whole desirable point for me of an apprenticeship was actually gaining a qualification, learning about how businesses run, learning about business terminology, fundamentals, communication styles, methods, everything like that. But also gaining on-the-job experience, which is like my social impact role. And this can be just communicating in the office and just gaining those real working skills that you may not get if you went to university. And obviously being paid, so you're being paid to learn, and you'll come out with an apprenticeship at the end as well. So for me, I have to record my off the job. So off the job will mean any workshops that I've completed, any workbooks, any kind of training. So that may be Excel training or training on how to use kind of Google and things like that, and how to use Google Docs, Google Slides, etc. But then you've also got the working side, which is actually my social impact apprentice. Please let me know if that is kind of helpful or not, or I can break it down a little bit more for you if you'd like.
That's great. Thank you, Jessica. I think, as we said before, your role is so special because you're called a social impact apprentice, and this might be the first time that our young people tuning in have even heard of a job like that. But basically what it means is a large chunk of your job is around organising volunteering opportunities that the Bruntwood colleagues can do. Is that right?
Yeah.
Amazing. What a fantastic role. Could you tell us what your biggest challenge has been since you started at Bruntwood on your apprenticeship?
So whilst this is also kind of like my biggest challenge, I think it has been a challenge for Bruntwood over the past 2 years, but getting colleagues out to volunteer, obviously that's such a big part of my job, and it's so important that people do give their time to organisations and charities. Actually getting colleagues out now after COVID to go and volunteer has been something that's been really, really challenging, and it's kind of now working through different processes of, right, how do we engage the colleagues more, how do we get them back out there. And that's definitely something that I think will be an ongoing challenge, definitely, but looking at how do I make sure that these colleagues are getting back out there and engaging with volunteering again. But this has been a problem that Bruntwood have had for now since COVID, as obviously everything kind of stopped, and it's just making sure that we put everything out in the right way now to get everyone engaged and to get everyone back volunteering. And I think it's going to be a bit of a trial and error process of what works, what doesn't work, and things like that. But yeah, hopefully we are. I'm seeing it kind of become a little bit easier. I'm seeing more people sign up and things like that. But it's just, yeah, I think the challenge is definitely getting people back out volunteering and finding the best way that I can get people out there and volunteering.
Excellent. Thank you, Jessica. Tom, if we could move to the final slide, please. So this leaves us to say thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed it. This will be available as a recording soon on our YouTube channel, and I shall pop a link to that in the chat box in case you do want to watch back. And on there you will notice lots of other Meet Your Future videos as well, which you might also like to watch. Teachers, please do email us any of the ideas that your pupils come up with for the City of Trees volunteering opportunity advert. It would be absolutely great to see those, and Jessica can provide her feedback. So again, I will pop the email address into the chat box for you to submit any of those ideas, and Jessica can feedback accordingly. And at the same time, if you do have any other questions for Jessica, you can add those to the emails as well. And if there's no more questions, oh, I think we have got one extra one now. Oh, it's Elmsbank saying thank you. Thanks ever so much. So Jessica, this just leaves me to say thank you so much for being our speaker today. You've done a fantastic job, and apologies if the video didn't play quite perfectly at the beginning of the workshop, but I hope you all learned something new today about Jessica's fantastic apprenticeship. And the link is there in the chat box if you would like to look at the opportunities at Bruntwood at the moment, and also to the GMAX Apprenticeships vacancy list, where you can see vacancies from across Greater Manchester. Jessica, do you have anything final you'd like to say?
I just want to say thank you to kind of everyone who's ran the talk, and thank you to all of the schools and classes and things like that who have tuned into this as well, and for listening to me.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Jessica. We hope to see you all again soon, and thank you for tuning in. We'll draw the live to a close now, and as I say, you can find it on our YouTube channel later. I shall just add the YouTube link now, so you can see the other videos that are on there. Thank you, everybody, and we really do hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.